I would like to start off today's episode by saying Assalamu alaikum to my fellow Muslim brothers and sisters, to my Muslim friends out there, and Muslim adjacent folks who love Muslim people, and to everyone else, the Islamophobes, the MAGA, the fear mongers. To you, I would also like to say Assalamu alaikum, whether you accept it or not. And the reason I'm addressing you as such because today is the dawning of a new day. The first Muslim mayor has been elected to the city of New York. And as such, there will be some changes. There will be some changes. And I know that some of you are aware of some of them. I'm about to go over quite a few of them. First, the Statue of Liberty from now on will be clad in a hijab or possibly a burqa. Effective immediately, all pigeons in Central Park will be trained to recite the daily call to prayer. Please be respectful. They are still learning the vowels. The Empire State Building will now point toward Mecca at all times. Do not ask how. City engineers are working double shifts to resolve this issue. Times Square Elmo will now just be Halal Elmo. He's the same, just less sticky. Now, in order to maintain modesty, the charging bull on Wall Street will now wear pants. It's 2025, folks. Bulls deserve dignity. Now, you see this? You see these pictures here? That's disgusting. That's haram. That's haram. It's a sin. The New York Mets will now begin every season with a moment of silence for the New York Mets. Oh, this is a big one, folks. Children in schools will now be forced to learn Arabic numerals. So for those of you who are possibly unfamiliar with what Arabic numerals are, don't have a cow, okay? Don't have a heart attack. Don't flip out. Don't lose it. It's not that. Although technically, I believe at some point it was that. But no, actually, it is that, right? But I bring this up because ever since, and even before, Zoran Mamdani won the mayor's race in the city of New York, this kind of stuff has been being distributed. Now, this tweet here by David Atherton says, young white children, notice how he says white children, like mercy. White children are being indoctrinated into Islam. They raise their hands in the air and chant Allahu Akbar. This has to stop. It's nuts, people. It's nuts. That is not happening. And by the way, the person who posted this, they posted an AI video because that's not happening. But another thing is that each person who boards a free bus, Mayor Mamdani is implementing free bus rides, will be allowed to ride by shouting Allahu Akbar. Just so you know, there will be some of that happening. And it just means God is great. Rent controlled apartments will be granted to everyone who can list the pillars of Islam. Now, that's not such a big deal, right? I mean, it's rent control, for crying out loud. I remember when I was just a wee lad in my early 20s, I inherited my grandmother's apartment. Not really inherited, but she left it to me when she went out to California. She left me the apartment, and in 1990, I was paying like $340 a month rent. That's crazy. It's great, but it's crazy if you think about it. Right now, you can't even get, and that was a sweet 1-bedroom apartment. You can't even get a studio nowadays for less than $2,000, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the rents are too damn high. So, look, I did this. Obviously, most of this list was satire. Most of this list was satire. And, you know, there's a lot of ignorance out there. There's a lot of hatred. There's a lot of stupidity. And frankly, the only way to deal with the hatred, the ignorance, and the stupidity is through ridicule. That's it. I mean, you could get angry, but then you're allowing them to take you outside yourself. It's nonsense. Muslims make up 1% of America, of the population of America. We don't want to convert anybody, and frankly, that's against the rules in Islam. You're not allowed. We are not allowed to do that. If you want to come on into the religion, that has to be of your own volition, of your own accord. That's that. So anyway, we're gonna go over a bunch of things involving Mayor Mamdani, how he won, and specifically the fears of communism and socialism surrounding his candidacy and now his mayoralty, right? And we're actually going to go over what's communism, what's socialism, and what is democratic socialism, which is how he identifies. We're also going to go over the brewing war between right wing and right wing. So we got a lot of that to go over. So I hope you're ready, because I am. Let's go. Story time. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. Yeah, man, people, this was a great week. This was a fantastic week. Not only, I don't want Zoran Mamdani to absorb all of the sunshine for what happened on Tuesday, because it was a big day in general. And right wingers, including Fox News, including the White House, including people in the House and the Senate, were all trying to downplay the significance of this incredible win, because they're trying to say, those were just blue states, and we knew that they were going to win, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Nah. They busted their ass trying to beat us. And Donald Trump, if they knew they were going to lose, why did they wheel out Donald Trump and his endorsements to 53 candidates? He endorsed 53 candidates, and I would like to ask the audience, how many of those 53 candidates do you think won? Go ahead. Take a guess. Take a wild guess. There we go. Sharon Landry was first with none. That is correct, Mundo. So did Valerie G. Said that same thing. None. 0. None. So if they thought this was a foregone conclusion that, Dems were gonna clean up, you know, they would. I don't think Donald Trump likes to give his endorsement to a loser. The worst thing you can be to Donald Trump is a loser. And so he lost. He lost bigly. And when I say bigly, like, the margins of victory were rather significant. Like, Zoran Mamdani won by over 50%, right? Like, he got more than 50% of the vote. To put things in perspective, Donald Trump was unable to muster 50% of the vote when he won the presidency. And yeah, I'm air quoting won. You can try to community note those air quotes, bitches. Yeah, he only got like 49.5%, I think, couldn't muster 50%. And I'm sorry, if you're calling it a landslide, but you couldn't even get 50% of the vote, then you don't know what a landslide is. But the Democrats, we aside from Zoran Mamdani, we had Abigail Spanberger, we had Mikey Sherrill, and we even had people. You know who was telling us about this today? We had people in Georgia winning statewide races big. You know who told us that? Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene is on some shit. Anyway, before I get carried away with today's what do you call this? Today's agenda. Let me just say a quick hello to my friends here. Let's see. We got Joe at the top. We got Getting Back at It. Oh, that's a troll there. Wilbur there. The Bearded Wonder said Schadenfreude is fun sometimes. It's always fun. Ness from Connecticut is here. Meredith Powell. Zelda, of course, is here. Hello, Zelda, my friend. Valerie G. Joanne Kennedy. Diane London is here. CJ Hates Marataco is here. Meredith Powell. Sharon Landry. Brad Soke. Tina Bradford, Mary Margaret Rachel is here. Okay, so I'm going to cut that short a little bit because I got a lot of stuff to cover. So let's jump into what I like to call the stories of the day.
Stories of the day.
So I totally forgot to put this up there. I didn't mean to put that there. So there are the stats there. Mamdani had 50.4%. Cuomo had 41.6%. And Sliwa had 7.1%. So a lot of people were getting on Curtis Sliwa's case. And by the way, I remember Curtis Sliwa from when I was a little kid. And I actually appreciated what he did for the city. he threw on his red beret and he got a bunch of guys together and they wore these T-shirts that said "Guardian Angels" and they were kind of badass, you know. And this was a time when New York was rough. Like if you were watching movies in the '70s of New York City, you saw like you saw movies like The Warriors and Escape from New York, and you really thought that New York was like a hellhole. It was like living hell. You had to dodge bullets running from your house to the grocery store, and that wasn't the case. Well, it might have been the case in some places, but like the South Bronx was brutal, Harlem was brutal, and the rest of New York City was like some kind of controlled chaos. But Curtis Sliwa added some kind of, I don't know, a sense of calm, I guess. Like like there are people out there, vigilantes, whatever you want to call them, who are looking out for the little guy, and I thought that was cool as a kid. You know, the concept, I still think the concept is kind of cool. Maybe you want to make sure these guys are trained, um, and they're deputized or something. In fact, one of the initiatives that Zoran Mamdani is talking about is lessening the load on cops. Listen to me carefully. Not not defunding them, but giving them ancillary support. Huh? For like those lower crimes that maybe other kinds of professionals can handle. Yeah, we're not going to send a social worker to a gunfight. That's silly. Anyway, let's get back to this okay. So the title for today's show is Muslim Communist. Yeah, people are freaking out. And they have been freaking out for a long time. They're worried about this Zora Mamdani, like they worried about communism back in the 50s and 60s. There was a thing called the Red Scare where they got people really riled up about this threat of communism and people got blackballed and blah blah blah. And I bet you $10 most people cannot define what is communist, nor can they define what is socialist. They can't do it without looking it up on their phones. Okay, smart Alex, wise guys. So we're going to talk about that today. But first, we're going to give you an update on the shutdown and tell you what is going on. There is some movement on that today. I don't know how much movement in the past 2 hours, but there was some movement 2 hours ago, and I'll fill you in on what that was in a little bit. As I mentioned, there is a kind of civil war brewing now. So in this new information ecosystem, podcasters have risen to the top, the top of the influence totem pole or the influence meter or whatever. I am nowhere near the top. I'm probably close to the bottom, but I don't care. I have fun doing what I do. But these guys, when I say these guys, I'm talking about Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly. They are fighting amongst themselves. And Israel has something to do with it. Charlie Kirk has something to do with it. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. Very little bit. And yeah, there you go. There's the Red Scare. People are freaking out about what kind of destruction Zoran Mamdani is going to wreak on the greatest city on earth, the city of New York, NYC, the Big Apple. What is he going to do? I've seen tweet after tweet saying, "Don't come to Alabama, Arkansas, blah, da, 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 da." Newsflash, like you listed, like more than half of the states you guys are listing are shithole states. They are shithole states at the bottom in education, in life expectancy, in crime, all that shit. So save your dramatic histrionics for somebody who's buying that shit. Excuse me. And before, if this is your first time here, please make sure you hit the like button and also hit the subscribe button, which is right down there in the lower right hand corner of your screen. Let us continue. So last week I had written a Substack called "Why We Still Need to Talk About Hitler." The danger of banning comparisons is that history stops teaching us anything. So I have not updated, I have not written a new Substack because I believe that was important enough to leave it at the top of my thing. And also, I've been busy as hell, so I didn't have time to write a new Substack. I put this, some of these things are a little bit on the long side, so it takes me a while to put them together. However, it is current because what is happening on the right, right? So part of my article addressed the issue of when should you refer to somebody as a Nazi, right? Um, and I made the point that you shouldn't just randomly refer to somebody as a Nazi because they said something bigoted, they said something racist. That doesn't make them a Nazi. Okay. Um, Now, if they refer to themselves either as a Nazi or in a Hitler loving way, as in saying that they love Hitler, yeah, then you can call them a Nazi because that's literally what they were all about. And what did Hitler um stand for? Hitler stood for the extermination of anyone who was not of the white Aryan race, which is mostly everybody. So, yeah, that's a dangerous ideology that you cannot allow to flourish. You can't allow it to flourish. How do you get rid of it? Well, education and by not tolerating it. you know, um, Yeah, you have to challenge these fuckers on their ideology and their belief that, that we don't have a right to exist. That's wrong. Let's see. Excuse me. So, Tucker Carlson platformed uh Nick Fuentes. Now, Nick Fuentes is the grinning guy on the left right there. And Nick Fuentes was no fan of Charlie Kirk. And my friend Zelda, thank you so much for the kind donation. I very much appreciate it. And I appreciate your kindness and your generosity in helping to support this show. So Tucker Carlson, you may remember, was previously on Fox News and he was let go. And now he's doing his own thing. He's out there freelancing. And when he's not busy, nestling his nose under Vladimir Putin's scrotum, he is platforming a guy like Nick Fuentes, who is a hateful person. And it has a lot to do with he wants clicks. And when I say he, I mean Tucker Carlson wants clicks because controversy does drive clicks. So I understand that. But I also understand that you're Tucker Carlson. You should not be you shouldn't be fiending for clicks. You should have some kind of moral standards, right? And yeah, I think as badly as I could use some more views on this show, I wouldn't ever platform somebody like Nick Fuentes. Like probably ever. And am I at fault for not for not being tolerant? Yeah, I don't tolerate Nazis. that's a hard and fast rule. 7 days of the week and twice on Sundays, for crying out loud. So So yeah, so this created a whole like people are crashing out over on the right because Tucker is a very influential guy. People watch him, people listen to him, they look to him actually for guidance. The right wing is trying to define itself, and right now Donald Trump is the loudest voice, right? And but he's demented. And it's not just me noticing that. Everybody notices it. He's falling asleep in meetings and high profile meetings, and you know but yeah, Tucker Carlson is very prominent, so when he does something, people on the right sit up and take note. The Heritage Foundation guy who's in the middle, I don't know his name, but you know, he jumped into the fray at first in defense of Tucker platforming Nick Fuentes, and then he caught a lot of shit. And part of this is that Israel is at the is at the heart of a lot of these debates, a lot of the contention on the right. It's almost like a litmus test. Uh if you like they're almost in a battle to see who can show more loyalty to Israel, and at the same time who can stick their middle finger up higher at Israel. So that's where the right wing is right now. Some people are are calling out what they see as a movement like an Israel first kind of movement. Some people are blaming Israel for the demise of Charlie Kirk. This this is such a deep, twisty, windy rabbit hole. I don't have time to get into the whole thing. It's wild though. It's wild. But I noticed that nobody said shit on the right when Donald Trump invited that motherfucker in the middle, Nick Fuentes, to the White House. Now, Trump is surrounded by people who know Mr. President, Nick Fuentes is he's a neo-Nazi, self-identified, white supremacist, et cetera, et cetera. He's like, hey, they vote too. And then he invited Kanye West, I think, to the same meeting or a meeting around the same time. Fucking two anti-Semitic racist motherfuckers Donald Trump invited to the White House, and you could not find anyone on the right publicly taking a stand and calling out Donald Trump. But now there's a lot of consternation about, oh, you got Nick Fuentes because he's anti-Semitic and he's calling out da, 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 da. As long as Nick Fuentes is only calling out black people and is only calling out Hispanics and LGBTQ people and blah blah blah, as long as he stays away from Israel and being critical of Israel, nobody has a problem with him. So here, look, even Fox News said nothing about this. Here's the headline from MSNBC. Fox News remains silent amid firestorm over Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes. Carlson allowed the Holocaust-denying white supremacist streamer who has said, quote unquote, Hitler is awesome, to sand down his vile rhetoric for Carlson's huge audience. And you know what? It's good that that Tucker Carlson is being called out for his shit. I like to remind the audience here that Donald Trump has also had a history of saying lots of things that are pro Hitler, like he wished he had Hitler's generals, and he's plucked a lot of content from Hitler's speeches. But the right wing continues to follow him. So a lot of this controversy it seems it seems strange to me. It seems like so now you have a problem with with neo Nazis, uh, and then Ben Shapiro. I got to play this for you too because I can't stand Megyn Kelly. And Ben Shapiro is a guy who I vehemently disagree with on so much, but for some reason, recently he sounds like he's making sense, right? He's like his eyes are beginning to open. Like, dude, your eyes. How have your eyes not been open to this shit? It's like Nick Fuentes didn't just poof, wasn't just born yesterday. He didn't just suddenly come out of nowhere. He's been this same guy. But all right, better late than never. Maybe it's good that he's finally coming to his senses. It's just unfortunate that it took him so long, and I hope he's consistent in his critique, not just of Nick Fuentes, but of his own party in general. So let me pull that up here. This was quite interesting here. Ben Shapiro humiliates Megyn Kelly here. Let me just play this.
For example, Candace Owens. I think that what Candace Owens is doing right now is evil. It is evil what she is doing right now. Okay, and I say that again.
But what? Because like I didn't opine on whether it's evil or not. But my position is it's really none of my business. And
why is it? But I have a question. Why is it none of your business? I mean, you comment on these things for a living.
I'm not mother of the internet.
No, but if this were on the left and somebody were accusing Charlie Kirk of his wife having murdered him, I assume that you would be talking about it.
Is that what Candace is accusing Erica of?
Yes.
Of murdering her own husband?
She's accusing TPUSA insiders and other members of the right wing, including Seth Dillon, of being involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk. Yes.
Okay. Like I said, I don't take in that content, which is an honest statement. I don't have time to watch.
No,
Candace's show.
I believe you. I believe you. But the point that I'm making is that
what I
friendship should not, in our business, I think it's important. Listen, friendship should not trump.
We don't even know each other.
I understand, but even with Tucker, friendship should not trump our manifest requirement to speak out when people do and say things that are both detrimental to conservatism and morally wrong.
Okay, so I don't totally disagree, but I think the way of handling that, at least for me, is much different. So I saw things go south between you and Tucker.
For example.
Yeah, so I don't believe her when she says she doesn't know about it, right? Because Miss Megyn Kelly has opined on every random little piece of nothing controversy, like Sydney Sweeney, like whether or not Santa Claus is white. She is on top of it. Like she got nothing else better to do because she doesn't work at NBC or Fox or any of those. She's like out there on her own. So she has to chase after everything. So she does know what is happening. And she has chosen not to opine. She's chosen to stay on the sidelines and say, it ain't none of my business. My name's Bennett and I ain't in it, is what she's trying to say. But she knows about that. And if you were paying attention, you heard them come out in the open about the controversy. They're trying to say, some people are saying that Erica Kirk knew about that Erica Kirk knew about the assassination plot or conspiracy to take out her own husband. And then Candace Owens, for the record, has denied that she is contributing to that. But she does believe, Candace Owens believes that Israel had something to do with the murder of Charlie Kirk. So, like I said, it's a long and winding rabbit hole where, you have to pay attention to know who's on whose side. There are people calling out, for instance, Erica Kirk's apparent lack of sadness, lack of grief over her dead husband, and she hasn't waited, I don't know. I don't know what's the proper amount of time because, like, I've heard a lot of people say everyone grieves in their own way. I agree with that, Um, but I also think it looks very gross and improper to see her grinding on a dude who is married. In fact, two guys who are married. She's got her head on the back of JD Vance's. She's got her hand on the back of JD Vance's head, and that's a very intimate kind of thing. You don't just go up to people and hug them and hold them at the back of their. That's no, no. And then there was that other picture where Donald Trump was hugging her, and he had that lip biting look on his face, like gross, gross. Some people are calling out the fact that she doesn't like us. This guy, Stu Peters. Stu Peters is as right wing as you get. He's right there on the right wing. Says he doesn't want to attack a grieving widow, but that's just not what we have here. He's saying that she is not a grieving widow. He says Erica Kirk is simply a horrible actress. There, I said it. And he is referring to. I will play. Let's see. Where is it? Share screen. Damn, where is my thing here? Give me a second. I've lost my place. Is this it? All right, let's just go here. Boom. Here we go. I'm just going to play a little snippet of this.
Erica Kirk, the former reality show star and romance actress who modeled for President Trump and who wasted absolutely no time after her husband's death in rushing into the limelight and soaking it all in. She stepped right back into her role as a reality TV star, playing the part of a grief-stricken widow, as hundreds of millions of dollars and hundreds of millions of shekels that her husband wanted nothing to do with are thrown around his organization and thrown into the wallets of the people that are covering up his assassination. Remember, it was Erica Kirk's mother who was geofencing Charlie's memorial service and Turning Point USA events in general. TPUSA connected churches so that she could identify people, Christians, on behalf of the Israeli regime so they could then be plastered with pro-Israel propaganda. And it's Erica's father who's tied to Raytheon and Israel's US-funded Iron Dome and the Israeli regime itself. This is the cast of characters, or at least part of it, in this Israeli-run reality show that we're all watching here.
Okay, so by now, you guys are picking up on the steady theme. There's like a steady theme on the right where people are calling out Israel for their involvement in Charlie Kirk's murder. It's wild. It's wild to me. And all I can say is, oh wait, here's another. Hang on, let me put this up here. Here's a picture here. I've seen video, which I'm not gonna spend any more time, but I've seen video of her putting like these teardrop things in her eyes before ascending the stairs. It's crazy, like, so that it would look like she's crying or she had been crying. So all I can say is grab your popcorn, and just watch as this shit unfolds because it's wild. It's crazy. So now here's the update on the shutdown. A few hours ago, Chuck Schumer stepped on the floor of the Senate and he introduced a proposal to Republicans to end the government shutdown by agreeing that they will extend, Republicans would have to agree to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies one more year, right? So it's not the long-term thing that they wanted, but they're like, all right, let's try to get something done. Let's see if they'll take a 1-year extension, right? Because nobody wants to be dealing with this kind of drama 3 months from now, so we don't know where that's going to go. It's and he literally said, Chuck Schumer said, the ball is in Republicans' hands. All you have to do is say yes. So it's your guess whether it's your guess whether or not that will happen. But I just want to pull this up here. I had this on the screen a week ago, and let me just read it to you what it says. This person tweeted, "MA Stay Legit said, just wait for it. Republicans and Trump are going to swoop in last minute right before SNAP runs out and claim they've magically saved the day, when smart Americans already know that contingency reserve funds are available for SNAP, but their base is too dumb. Bookmark it." So that is actually not what happened. But what is interesting is that today, Donald Trump asked the court to overrule another ruling that said that they had to start making SNAP payments available. He wanted to keep people from getting their SNAP payments. So he got a court order. Donald Trump got a lawful court order saying, start paying out those SNAP payments now. And he said he had his law team counter and say, we don't want to. Can you stop this from happening? So, so anyway, today the USDA announced that they are going to begin making those SNAP payments effective immediately. Some people might start getting their SNAP as recently as today. Misha Oliver says, I get SNAP here in California, got mine today. Trump Reaper also says, I get SNAP here as well, but I am worried. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So, it seems like it's at the whim of Donald Trump. It's at the political whim of Trump. So speaking of politics are kind of upside down right now because, excuse me, it almost seems as though Marjorie Taylor Greene and Fetterman have done a Freaky Friday swap. They are two, excuse me, they are two people who have who are on opposite, they're supposed to be on opposite sides of the political spectrum. Holy shit, Wilbur McCarthy, my friend. Thank you, buddy. Wow, thank you for that kind donation as well, my friend. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. John Fetterman is doing everything he can to convince people that he is less trustworthy than Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema combined. This is what he's doing, right? He is technically still a Democrat, but in name only, also known as a dino. He is a dino. Because let me show you. Here he is on the Jesse Waters show, and I'm not going to play it, but Jesse Waters is saying, you're agreeing with the Republicans on the shutdown, in meaning he agrees with Republicans that the shutdown is Democrats' fault. Huh? You're agreeing on Israel. You're agreeing on the woke BS. Are you close to becoming a Republican? So the answer that he gave Jesse Waters, who is a real jackass, the answer he gave Jesse Waters was no, he's not close to being a Republican. But we've seen this at least a year ago. We saw him starting to make his move, and I think he's trying to triangulate himself for a 2028 run. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene, this thing is even stranger, right? Because so she has started calling out her party. And I think it started around the time when people were, when the victims of Jeffrey Epstein made that public appearance on Capitol Hill. And then she became very vocal and very, very public in her denouncing the Republican Party's going along with not releasing the Epstein files, right? She was very highly critical of them protecting that list or those files from being, exposed. And now that criticism has expanded to criticism of the shutdown and criticism in general of how Republicans are conducting themselves. And it's really interesting to see. Now, with that said, AOC recently came out and explained why, that it's not like, she woke up one day and said, oh, I'm a Democrat. That's not what happened. What happened was Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to run for the Senate, and Donald Trump told her no. So basically, all this stuff, she's acting out. Now, I think on some level, I think she actually does believe what she's saying and honestly agrees, because I think at the end of the day, if you're a Republican and you're against poor people being able to afford health care to stay alive and being able to afford SNAP food benefits to stay alive, if you're against those like very, very basic things, then you're an asshole. You're a fucking, disgusting person. You're evil. So on some level, I believe that all Republicans know this already, but they've already made up their minds. They know what side their check is signed on and who is signing their checks. And so as long as those billionaires are handing out fat bonuses and fat frills and giving them all that they need to stay in power, they are going to continue to toe the company line and approve any legislation that ensures that they get big fat tax breaks at the expense of the poor and the working class. So they're committed to the reverse Robin Hood. Okay. But I even saw even stranger than Marjorie Taylor Greene here. It says, even Marjorie Taylor Greene is blaming her own party for the shutdown. When MTG admits Republicans screwed up, it's bad. She knows healthcare is on the line, and so do we. But even crazier than this was yesterday, I saw her praise Nancy Pelosi. And I am going to play that for you guys really quick. Excuse me. Excuse me. Here it is.
I will praise Nancy Pelosi. She had an incredible career for her party. I served under her speakership in my first term of Congress, and I'm very impressed at her ability to get things done. I wish we could get things done for our party like Nancy Pelosi was able to deliver for her party. So I wish her well in her retirement, but I would like to see people exit Washington a lot sooner rather than wait until their 80s. Yeah, I will praise Nancy Pelosi. She had an incredible career for.
So this begs the question now, was Marjorie Taylor Greene just pretending to be insane, batshit crazy? Like that whole thing about the Jewish space lasers? Like, did she actually believe all that stuff? Or was she just doing it to get attention so that she could get herself elected by the crazies? It's a good question, because she sounds very sensible. She sounds like it rolled off her tongue so easily. She didn't struggle with that shit. So it's almost like it's coming from a place that she knows, right? You can't talk about things the way she talked about that, about Nancy Pelosi getting things done for her party and saying, earnestly saying, I wish our party could get things done the way she did. Wow. It's just like nuts. There's some crazy shit that's going on. All right. Speaking of crazy shit going on, the sandwich throwing guy was acquitted yesterday. And it's great. I think it's great because it's hilarious as hell that the Trump administration, that Pam Bondi's DOJ was trying to heavy hand this dude, for throwing a sandwich. I mean, here, I got some funny shit here. This is a quote from Frank Figluzzi. He says, I was an FBI agent for 25 years. I never felt the horror of a fully wrapped Subway sandwich caroming off my tactical vest in the darkness of night on the mean city streets. The smell of cheap yellow mustard and raw onions lingering in my olfactory banks, only to re-traumatize at every family picnic. It's classic. Frank Figluzzi. Dude, it's funny. Here's an excerpt from Aaron Rupar. He has Aaron Rupar is one of the guys who is doing God's work on Twitter by providing timely video clips of freaking everything. Him and Asin, those two guys are reliably providing video clips of everything that happens every day of the freaking week. And that's even Saturday and Sunday. Whew. Anyway, he has a Substack. It's called publicnotice.co. And an excerpt from his Substack says, they want everyone to know these thugs they've deployed to terrorize cities are tough as nails. But in court, they're such delicate flowers that if they are lightly grazed by a sandwich, they're entitled to justice for the horrific assault they suffered. That's great. So if you're on Substack, be sure to subscribe to Aaron Rupar as well, too. And by now, if you've been online in the past 24 hours, you have seen this picture, which is just so surreal. it defies reason. On the right side of the picture, there are 3 people, it appears, or at least 2 people, tending to someone who just fainted. This is the second person who has fainted in the Oval Office this year. That's wild, right? So there's Donald Trump. He's standing there. There's another picture of him smiling for the camera. This one here is him with the side of his face drooping. By now, if you haven't figured out that he has had a stroke, then you're not paying attention. But it's just very surreal. Like, why are you facing the camera? Why are you posing for a picture while somebody is unconscious in your own office? Can you not even pretend to give a shit? No, he can't, because that is why he had that Great Gatsby styled party while people are on the cusp of losing their SNAP benefits and their health care. A big, gaudy, expensive, racy Great Gatsby party while people are suffering. That's insane. So that's him in a nutshell. And when that's not him, I thought this was interesting too. Someone posted this as a reply to one of my tweets. I thought this was hilarious. There's that guy directly to the right of him holding his nose. That might explain why the person fainted in the Oval Office. The smell. It's got to be the smell. I don't even want to think about what is filling this man's diaper right now, but I'm sure that it is toxic enough to cause people to lose consciousness if they are in the vicinity too long, and maybe like the air from the vents, like whoosh, cascades past their nose, and they catch one and they're like, oh, oh, goodness. My goodness. Um, and so when he's not posing for the cameras, he is taking a little nap, a little baby nap during the meeting. Taking a nap. This is the guy who had the audacity just earlier today to refer to President Joe Biden as Sleepy Joe. Are you fucking kidding me, bro? What? You're still calling him sleepy when there's like shit ton of. I wish a reporter would come with a picture of him printed out sleeping yesterday and say, Mr. President, you just referred to Joe Biden as Sleepy Joe, but these pictures have been published everywhere of you sleeping during a very high profile meeting yesterday. Do you think you should stop calling him Sleepy Joe? Just do that. Come on, you'll have free beers for life. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. So yeah, let's jump on into the discussion of socialism, communism, some little bit of capitalism, and democratic socialism. And honestly, guys, I have not had to concern myself with the meaning of the definition of communism or socialism or any of that stuff because we live in a capitalist society. I get attacked by trolls all day long, and half of them are calling me a commie. I feel like who's giving you your burns? Archie Bunker? Is this? If we were in the 1970s and you called me a commie pinko, that might be more relevant because people were still concernicus about communism. But last time I checked, we are a capitalist society, and it has its faults. Capitalism has its faults. It's cruel and it doesn't give a shit. But that's where we are now. I like having the ability to buy things. I like owning my own property, all that stuff. So let's go ahead and discuss because there's fear mongering going on about Zoran Mamdani, right? His proposals have people, losing their minds. Oh, he's communist. New York is going to be a hellhole in no time. So let's talk about what his beliefs are, right? You can't fight ignorance if you don't have tools, and the tools we need are information, right? If you have people who are all beside themselves about communism and they live in Kansas, they've never even been to New York City, but they're concerned that New York is going to descend into a communist state and then it's somehow by osmosis gonna reach them in Kansas. Come on. Let's talk about what the hell is going on, shall we? Surely. So this is a picture of a communist party. I believe that's Marx with the lampshade on his head. Communism. The goal of communism is a classless society with no private ownership of businesses. How it works is that the government controls all production and distributes goods. The politics of it are typically authoritarian in practice and individual economic. So, authoritarian? That sounds more like the kind of society that Donald Trump is trying to prime us 4. Socialism. The goal is that the key industries of healthcare, energy, and transportation are publicly owned to benefit everyone. How it works is that the state runs major services, but individuals and private businesses can still exist. The politics are it can be democratic or authoritarian, depending on the system. Now, naturally, you can't have you could have this under Trump because he is busy trying to get a piece of all of these all of these companies like Nvidia. Just the other day, he was doing his own mob impression, saying, "Hey, I want to get a piece of Nvidia. What's up?" With the cameras on and everything, people think that he's less corrupt because he does his corruption in the open. No, he's just stupid. It doesn't mean that he's any less corrupt. He's too lazy, I guess, to try to hide his corruption. So democratic socialism, this is how Zoran Mamdani identifies. He calls himself a democratic socialist. And the goal is a democratic government ensures economic fairness and strong public freedoms while people keep political freedoms. How it works is that public ownership or strong regulation of big essential industries, private businesses still operate in most areas. And the politics, fully democratic, free elections, you own all your own shit. It's that simple. And civil liberties are central. So if you wanted a simple analogy that to simplify all three of these things, communism, the government owns everything. Socialism, the government owns some big things. And in democratic socialism, the government ensures fairness, but private business and democracy stay in place. It's that simple. So there's no need to fear Zoran Mamdani. He's not a communist, nor is he a socialist. And frankly, if you enjoy owning your own vehicle, owning your own business, if you enjoy free and fair elections, if you enjoy democracy, and capitalism, then you're good. Nobody can accuse you of being a socialist or a communist. Now capitalism is like only the strong will survive. It's a dog eat dog world. Every man for himself. It's not concerned with fairness. The strongest people get the biggest pieces of the pie. And if you didn't manage to get any crumbs for yourself, oh well. That's pretty much it. Here's a political cartoon saying, "We want change. Change is needed. Change." And there, standing atop a big, massive mound of money bags, is a guy tossing change out to the masses. So Zoran Mamdani's policies, he wants to have no-cost childcare. No cost. So right now, childcare is probably the most expensive thing for young families, where it can get well into the tens of thousands of dollars just to care for your child while you are working to support your family. Excuse me. Baby baskets to newborns, $30 minimum wage. I believe that's by the year 2030. And yeah, this Fox News's take on that was, "How dare you offer baby baskets to newborns?" his $10 billion agenda. It says universal free childcare. What are you threatening us with, a good time? Free buses for all. That's my favorite one. That one right there is my favorite, because it's not like public transportation is that expensive, but I can see the idea that if people are able to get to and from their home to the mall, to and from their home to the movie theater, to entertainment, to this, that, and the other thing, that could be a huge boom for business. And that could possibly pay for it. I don't know. I'm not an economist. I don't know. I hear a lot of people very critical of these policies, but they sound so fresh. They sound so different, and they sound so they sound unusual, because usually it's, our society favors the strong. It favors the rich, It's, well, if you didn't get your own, fuck you, City-run grocery stores. I don't know how that would work. I'd like to see it. I don't think it could hurt if you have one or two, in different boroughs, to see how that works, see how that plays out. No cost childcare, new anti-police safety department. So that's Fox News's propaganda right there, re-messaging that. That's the thing I told you, where you have a social worker who is deployed to the site of an argument, let's say a domestic argument. Now, if they get there and the guy's waving a gun, then he's got to call for backup. it's as simple as that. But sometimes you don't need a cop for every situation. I just watched a show called The Perfect Neighbor, and there was this woman. You guys might have seen it too. It was on Netflix. There was this woman who was calling the cops on these kids in the neighborhood who were playing. They were just playing on grass that wasn't even hers, but she was complaining because these kids were having a happy, right? So that would be a perfect opportunity for something that Zoran Mamdani is discussing. He's not talking about eliminating the cops altogether. That would be crazy. Anybody who has lived in New York knows you do need the cops. I don't necessarily like or love the cops, but I know that they're a necessary evil. Like, if they pull up behind me in my vehicle, I'm nervous until they go. Even if I'm just sitting there idling at a red light, yeah, there's just a whole history of mistrusting the cops because they have abused and killed many people who didn't deserve to be abused or killed. And creating an office of LGBTQIA plus affairs. So I said I was going to talk about how he won. And here's it. It's not complicated, right? He is very charismatic, number one. He is very articulate and intelligent, number two. But he doesn't come across as like when he's talking, he's very accessible. Everybody can understand him. He doesn't sound like an English professor from an Ivy League college. He sounds like your next door neighbor who's just very good at conversing, right? He's got the gift of gab. He's got Riz. I hope I'm using that right. He has Riz. And he feels sincere. It's, if you've been paying attention to politics, for however long, I've been paying attention to politics since I was a teenager. He feels very sincere. He feels like this is the guy who is going to really try to deliver on his campaign promises. He didn't just say them to get elected. You honestly believe that he wants these things to happen. He also happens to be a whiz, a genius at social media. Now, whether that's him who's responsible for his oh yeah, and yeah, let me Anto says, turn the volume up. That was a statement he made directed at Donald Trump during his acceptance speech the other night. Thank you for bringing that up. That was a brilliant acceptance speech, a brilliant campaign, and he energized. Here's the most important thing, right? He energized young people who have a lot of anxiety about affordability. Now, Donald Trump is trying to downplay the importance of the word affordability. In fact, he said some dumb shit today like affordability is nonsense because we solved that problem already. Prices are down everywhere. Prices are down for energy. They're down for gas. They're down for food and groceries. They're down for everything. Dude, if that's the story you're trying to tell, Americans, they may have been dumb enough to buy your shit up until now, right? But you got no excuses. You're 11 months into your own presidency. You should stop blaming President Biden for everything because President Biden did his thing without blaming you for everything. He just did shit. He had all these bills passed for infrastructure, for what was that? For the PAC Act, for the chips, the semiconductors, all these different things that he got done, despite the fact that you passed him a horrendous economy. Your economy was in the ditch, was in the shitter. You didn't hear him every other sentence. Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that. He just went about the business of getting shit done. But Americans now can see. They go to the grocery store and they see that their grocery bills are 70% higher than they were a year ago. We can all see it. We just look at the receipts. We, compare it to what we were paying before. Dude, you keep lying to them, that's going to fall on you and your party because your party is chained at the hip to you. They are not defying you. They are not turning over the apple cart except for with the exception of Marjorie Taylor Greene. All the rest of them are in line, following orders. Yes, sir. So you are killing your own party, and I'm not sad about it, right? I think Democrats have to absolutely capitalize on it. They have to stop running away from Zoran Mamdani, right? He's not a boogeyman, right? He's not a communist. He's not a socialist. And stop playing into this narrative. Stop underselling the intelligence of the average Joe, right? I don't know what we need to do to educate people about about communism in the year 2025, 2026 and socialism and explain the difference and detoxify that word. Stop letting that be the battering ram that they keep hitting us with. Anytime somebody wants billionaires to pay their fair share, communist! But you don't hear them talk about that when these billionaires and these mega corporations get their subsidies, their welfare, their billions of dollars from the government. You don't hear that, right? But those corporations, they're getting billions in subsidies. And how do they thank us? By jacking up the prices on us every freaking day since COVID. Those prices started going up around COVID in 2020. They went up because of the supply chain. They never came down. They never came down. They just kept going up, 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 up. And while the rate of inflation has come down, those prices are still up there. So whatever cost $10 in 2020 has gone up to $40. That's not coming down. That's not ever coming down. And if it does come down, it'll be only because these corporations were able to manufacture or produce it cheaper, and then they'll only bring it down a smidge, $35. Look, $35, I have given you this great discount. So anywho, Zoran Mamdani, he won. He won big time. And he won just because he was listening to people. He met people where they were. That guy worked his ass off. He won big, and he made it look easy, but it wasn't easy. He knocked on a whole lot of doors, and he had a group of young, excited people who went around and spread the word of what he's trying to build. And what Democrats need to do is follow the blueprint, not necessarily the blueprint of his policies, because what works for New York is not going to work for Kansas City. It's not going to work for Philadelphia. It's not going to work for Detroit, But the way he went about reaching out to people, reaching out to communities, communicating with them, that's what they need to duplicate. Look at some of the other things. Trump proofing New York City. He wants to end ICE Corporation. ICE Cooperation. I would love to see that. Raising the minimum wage to $30 by 2030. I'd love to see that too. Housing. Freeze the rent. God damn it. Yeah. And for those of you who are landlords, you had your time to soak up as much money and as possible. It's time to it's time to let the renters, get a breather, catch a break already. You just want free stuff, and people are saying, I want universal health care, affordable housing, and affordable college. These are not unreasonable requests, mind you. That's the problem with capitalism, is that they make you feel as though you should feel guilty for asking for universal health care, which most developed nations have already, affordable housing, and affordable college. When I was growing up, the cost of going to college was, it was a little steep, but you wouldn't be in debt for the rest of your life paying off your college tuition, which now is very different. Some colleges, they're charging like $90,000 per semester. Good Lord. The only people who can afford that are hedge fund managers and stockbrokers. That's it. And millionaires. Even if you become a doctor, it's going to take you forever to work that off. So something's got to be done. And I think the key for Democrats, in addition to meeting people where they are, is make sure you get that affordability thing down, because that's the key right there. Affordable housing, affordable college, affordable. People want to be able to afford shit. All right. So guys, thank you for joining me for another hopefully enlightening episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. Do you have any questions for a brother here? Let me know. Oh, here's a question right here from the Trump Report. How can I troll Trump with art like those folks in DC? Something on that big a scale. How can you troll Trump with art like those folks in? Oh, are you talking about like when people when they project things onto buildings? Because that could be one way. I've seen quite often when people broadcast things on specifically onto like a Trump property, for instance, right? So if you live somewhere that you're relatively in close proximity to a Trump hotel or a Trump, whatever, and they have like very cheap projectors. I saw something on a YouTube the other day. It's like it looks like a flip phone, but it projects like awesome. You could get something like that for like cheap, like 30 bucks, and then project it like right from your phone onto a building. That's one idea. Um, What is tonight's movie for me? Well. I wasn't going to get into it, but I'll give you a sneak peek. Frankenstein just came out. And yeah, I know Frankenstein has been done over and over the years, but I like this guy, Oscar Isaacs. I think he's a great actor. And you know, uh, I would like to see what they did with this. Guillermo del Toro is the director, and that guy is a very well known and very talented director. So I'm curious to see what he has done with this movie. And I think, so wifey happens to like Downton Abbey, and I believe they have the latest one is available. Oh, and there's a new Jurassic Park. Could see that too. I like those big movies. I don't know if I'm gonna have time for all that stuff this weekend, but I'm gonna try. Amy WC says she's gonna watch Blade Runner. Maybe I've never seen it, and folks keep telling me to watch it. Watch both of them. There's the original one, and then there's like the Blade Runner 2049 or something, which is actually really beautiful. Excellent. Lori B wants to know, do you think we can get a big enough majority after the midterms to impeach Trump? Yes. The way things are shaping up right now, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that the majority grows more and more every day, that Republicans refuse to come to their senses and be reasonable on the shutdown and on healthcare and on SNAP and on all those things, and especially, the Epstein files. Still, all that considered, they still haven't even touched on the Epstein files yet. So that's going to play a part, I think. Z-ta-ta-ta-ta. Okay. All right, guys. And is pepperoni pizza my favorite? It is. Yeah, it's a toss up between not regular pepperoni, but turkey pepperoni, because I don't eat pork. And there's also, I like pizza. Don't judge me. I like pizza with mushrooms, onions, and pineapples. Yes, I said it. God damn it. And let me see if I can. I forgot to put this up on my screen, but here's a look at the kitten that we found. This is our outside kitty. Her name is Birdie. We technically cannot have her in the home because we are already at capacity for the number of pets we're allowed. But there she is right there. She's a cutie. I told wifey, I was like, come on, we can't be supporting all these critters who happen to show up at our doorstep. So anyway, Birdie is pregnant. She's pregnant. So to make matters worse, we're already at capacity, and this cute little kitten is about to have some of her own kittens. Phew. Anyway, what can I do? So guys, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. Again, I thank you guys for sharing, for letting me share with you for this past hour and change, to share my thoughts and feelings about stuff with you. I feel more hopeful today. I was really the election that happened Tuesday made me so freaking happy. so happy, and I want to chase that feeling. I want to chase it, and I'm willing to work as hard as it takes to keep that going and to replicate it for 2026. I want to feel that again. It felt great. It felt great. Spiking the football, taking a victory lap. I want more of it. I want more. And I want more because I know that if and when we take the House back, Hakeem Jeffries will be our leader, and he will impeach Donald Trump, and he will restore order in Congress. That's what I believe. So, I look forward to seeing you guys all next week here, same time, same place. I love you all. Peace.